Hey buddies, here we are on the eve of a new console announcement. Always an exciting time. Nothing gets me pumped up more than something new, especially a new console. I don't know what it is. I just love new consoles. I especially love because price isn't an object for me because of all my internet monies. Not quite true. Turbo monies. Well, not quite true either. But I just love playing with new gadgets in general. I buy new things all the time, and I'm glad that the show gives me an excuse to always be buying new things because I love futzing with them and figuring them out and seeing what the user experience is like, giving my opinion on them. I'm never short on those. And, if I wasn't doing this, and maybe further down the road someday in the future, I might end up doing like a tech review show or like a gadget review show because I fucking love it. I love using stuff. Breaking it out of the box, using it for the first time, and just anyways, so PlayStation 4, if it isn't announced tomorrow, people will just be flabbergasted. There's no way in hell that they're not releasing it tomorrow. They've done a retrospective videos on their YouTube, releasing like stuff about the history of PlayStation over the years, getting people all feeling nostalgic about it, including the boondoggle that was the PlayStation 3's release. A good point to compare to if I want to make some predictions in this video, or rather just round up all the rumors and say what I think of them. And it's a good way to compare to the last release of the system to see what they might not do. Let's start right away with the price point. What's this thing going to cost? Because that is what everybody is going to be the most interested in, I think, compared to the PlayStation 3 release. I remember hearing about it for the first time that the PlayStation 3 was going to cost $600 for a brand new system. Even today, after 7 years of inflation, that sounds pretty high for a new console. I would not be surprised to see a $499 price mark. Like $400 would be insanely low, in my opinion, to see something like that from them, especially at the power that we expect to see from this thing. Like, it would be quite subsidized. And I mean, that's still possible, though, that they would subsidize and take a huge loss. But this is Sony we're talking about. They don't have the coffers that Nintendo does. I'm not trying to bring in fanboyism here. Nintendo has, it's a fact, way more cash reserves. A war chest is what they call it in the business, that they can rely on taking losses in certain instances. Nintendo has been taking quite a hit on a few different systems now, 3DS and Wii U now included. But they could take it for, some people say, like another 10 years of mistakes, and they think that Nintendo could still be okay. Just because they've saved up, they've been so fiscally conservative. Sony, on the other hand, has been leaking money at the tits. They've been hemorrhaging everywhere. So they're not in as, I guess, I would say they're not as liable to take larger risks like that. I'm going to predict that the console, if it has a cheap option and an expensive option, at the very least it's going to cost $400. That's my prediction. $399. I think that somewhere between $400 and $500 mark is what makes the most sense for a brand new, powerful console from Sony. Powerful. So let's go on that. How powerful will it be? They're saying that it's going to be, let me see what the stats say. The latest speculation is that it is going to be an AMD R10XX GPU. I don't know anything about that GPU. I don't know much about anything it's supposed to be off the shelf, though. A Bulldozer 8-core CPU. 4 USB 3.0 ports is rumored right now, and Ethernet. 2 Ethernet ports for some reason, which I don't understand, because you only need 2 Ethernet ports for doing gigabit Ethernet and clustering with like high-end computing, like I have on my Mac Pros. 2 Ethernet ports are almost never needed in any other instance, so I'm not sure why that would be a part of it. Remember, these are based on dev kits and stuff. This is powerful sounding, but it's not like, from what I've heard, the capabilities are just on par with like a middle of the road PC right now, which is good. Middle of the road PC is very good. I'm running one right now. My iMac would be considered, with its Radeon 6770, is middle of the road, runs Hitman decently, stuff like that. I would have been way more excited to hear that it's going to be bleeding edge again. But again, they have price points to consider here, and how much of a loss can they take. And we seem to have hit a little bit of an eye candy fatigue. I don't agree with it, but a lot of people say the graphics are as good as they need to get. I completely disagree. I've always said this. Graphics can get infinitely better. And if the graphics are as good as they want, or if they're as good as you want right now, imagine we just played Revengeance today, and I'll do a roundup on that tomorrow morning, I think, my first impressions. But today we played it with the slicing, and each time you slice something, it becomes new polygons that need to be rendered, and that bogs down the systems. And Platinum Games talked about how difficult that was to integrate into their game. And those things, of course, they have to disappear off the screen. And you've been seeing that with anything. Bullet holes on the wall, corpses on the ground, blood splatter. All of that fades away over time. Imagine if you just kept the same graphics you have right now, but never once, ever again, are you ever going to see a corpse fade away or something like that. That is also kind of a RAM problem, but it's also a polygon issue. The number of polygon counts is what taxes the GPU. So RAM aside, say you have infinite RAM, and you should, because RAM is cheap as hell compared to every other computer component. There's no reason why we shouldn't have infinite possibilities in that respect using the graphics that we have now. Beyond that, lighting can always be improved. That can always be made better. Texturing, bump mapping, all these things can be made better. So I am a little bit disappointed if it's not bleeding edge, like better than, or as good or a little bit better than the current best CPU or graphics card for computers. I'm a little disappointed. I'm not gonna really care that whatever. These things are gonna look awesome anyways. It's consoles. Developers hone these games to work get all the juice out of these things. So even though they might be as powerful as a middle of the road PC, the games that run on them, once it's given a couple years of development, will end up looking better than anything that ran on your run-of-the-mill middle of the road PC. So anyways, that aside, what else is there rumored? The controller, people are saying that the controller is going to look like another DualShock is standard, but this time it's going to have a touchpad on it. Some people are saying, is the controller going to have a screen on it? I doubt that. I know that Sony patented a thing that kind of looks like an iPad with a couple Move controllers attached to the sides, and that you can maybe even attach the Move to it or something like that, and then in the center it has like what looks like an iPad, and they actually patented it as the iPad, EYE pad, which is kind of cheeky of them. But that's just a patent, doesn't mean that they're going to use it. These prototypes that have supposedly been leaked show a DualShock controller with what looks like in the center sort of the type of thing that is on the back of the Vita, which I don't actually have handy. I haven't played the Vita basically since I bought it and went on one trip with it. But on the back of that, it has a touch pad. Whether there's going to be something on the back or on the front, I'm not sure. That could be a possibility. I don't mind those possibilities. You can't dislike them, right? As long as they don't like fundamentally change the way you play games. I like it when things like this add to the experience, but don't change the experience to a point where you're forced to. I don't mind getting out of my comfort zone. It's just that I don't. Like I said with the Wii U pad, I like it when it augments a game and makes it better, but doesn't shoehorn in gimmicks where they don't belong. So until we see what they've planned with that, I'm not sure I can have much of an opinion, but as long as they don't do what they did with the PS3 the first time they showed it off with that boomerang controller, which was absolutely ridiculous. Let's see here. I got some people on Facebook to post a bunch of things here. New controller, backwards compatibility. Somebody said, Patrick says, backwards compatibility with PS2 games? I don't think so. No. They'll still have virtual ones, or ones that you can buy or whatever, probably, just like you can on the PSN store. Backwards compatible with PS3, a possibility. They could have a PS3 on a chip maybe in there or something like that. The more likely scenario is this has been out there if you've been keeping up with the rumors. Last year, PlayStation purchased a company called Gakkai. They were an up-and-coming sort of competition for the now defunct OnLive, which streamed games to your PC or your TV or whatever system. You didn't need processing power or any sort of a console. You just needed a controller and the receiver unit, and all the processing for the game was done back at their HQ. with little to no latency, they say, which I found incredible. They must have had to do some hardcore peering with a lot of the big branches in every city in order to do that. And it would render it on there and then send the video feed to you. And what people are rumoring is that they're going to use that so that it has infinite, like backwards compatibility with an infinite number of titles of PS3, because they're going to be basically running a cluster of PS3s back at their home base, and you'll log in and you'll just run a game on their PS3s and it'll be streamed to you. And that they could do that with PS2 as well. They could do it with anything in their back catalog, which would be a really interesting, and I'd like to see it. Why not? I would especially like to see it if they offered some sort of a new service that did what OnLive and Gakkai was going to do. Some sort of a monthly fee, or maybe just, PlayStation Plus users suddenly get a back catalog of games, and of course they wouldn't allow you to play every PS3 game at once, but maybe eventually they'd start releasing free ones just like they've been doing for PlayStation Plus for so long. That would be really cool, because, and it wouldn't be outlandish, because if you've been a member of PlayStation Plus, the things that they've been releasing, like PlayStation Plus has just been getting more value for the buck. Like every month it becomes more ridiculous how good it is to be subscribed to. Like the amount of stuff you get from it is so worth the money. It's so worth more than the money. If you play so many games that you're always running out of things to play, that you're chewing through your library all the time, PlayStation Plus will help you out with that, because the bad thing is it's not as good for people who are early adopters, which as a hardcore gamers, you guys probably are in some ways. You probably already own a lot of the games that they give away for free, but it's still really incredible what they do. And I'd like to see them do something sort of like, let's call it the Apple One More Thing. Like I think I'd love to see something tomorrow that just drops people's jaws. And I'll talk about that at the end, what I think if they were to have one more thing in an Apple-esque way, what it might be. What else we got here? Other things to address. Controller, games, the used games, and the second-hand market. Will they quash it? Will they tie your game to the system, make it impossible for you to transfer your license? Transferring a license with physical media has always meant just pass the disc over. Digital downloads get rid of that ability, which is a reason why I don't understand why digital downloads on consoles haven't come down in price, because you don't have that inbuilt ability to recover some of your investment by selling it to someone else. Things that are downloadable should be, not only because they've cut out the cost of the physical media, but also because they have guaranteed that your purchase is not going to become another purchase in which they do not gain money from. They should make sure that the secondhand, that digital titles are like $40, like $20 cheaper, so that it really encourages people. That way they could really hurt the secondhand market without forcing people. Because this rumor about tying the games to the console and never letting you sell them it's funny, because in one sense it sounds crazy to get a physical copy and then it's a garbage disc after that once you're done with it. But it's not as crazy as it sounds, because PC users have been doing this forever. We've been buying games, installing them, putting in the serial code, and you can't use that on any other system. That license is yours. And in some cases, it depends on the DRM how flexible that is. But it's not that outlandish of a scenario. But what I want to see, if this happens, and this is always going to be, you're going to hear this from me a lot, this is my desire for change in the game industry. Bring down the price of games. If that means tying everybody to the game they purchase, I don't care. I would rather games be cheaper than have a second-hand market. The only thing that I think is a sad thing about that aspect is that you can't lend games to each other. You can't or even in the same house, you can't like pass off a game so you can go play it in his room or something like that, without being signed into your profile. So that's that. I don't think that they're going to close down. I don't think they're going to do something where it's tied to your account, though. I don't think they're going to go that radical. They especially don't want to be the ones that first out the gate with it, because that if they are going to do it, Xbox is going to be watching the response from the community, and they'll be very interested, because they're also rumored to be wanting to do this. They have patented a way to do it, but whether they'll use that patent is a completely other story. And when will it be available? Once they've announced it, when will you be able to play it? Just a second, I'm going to check my battery here. It's looking good. Okay. When will you be able to play it? I'm gonna like obviously before the end of the year. The only reason that they are announcing in my like what I think that I was a surprise that they were going to announce this thing before E3. Apparently it's not that big of a surprise. They do it every time they do it before E3 with the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3 apparently, but the PlayStation 3 was detailed at E3 2006. So they haven't really done this before. Like, I mean, they didn't do it with the PS3, really. They may have announced the PS3 was coming, but they didn't, like, detail it until E3. So this is a little bit different than last generation. Anyways, I guess this also speaks to my one more thing. Okay, here's my one more thing. If they do a one more thing in the style of Apple, like, which if you don't follow Apple's press conferences, it just means that one moment where you weren't expecting something this crazy or jaw-dropping. One could be the Gakkai service, making it insanely awesome by like something like, from now on, PlayStation Plus members will have complete access to our back catalog. That would be insane. But something similar, like just making it crazy good. Like the following 20 PS3 titles will be playable on your PlayStation 4 for free on launch day or something crazy like that. And it will include like, Uncharted, all the Uncharted, Heavy Rain, and all of the PlayStation exclusive God of War series. Imagine that, like they say, like just this big library. And again, this sounds extraordinary, but that's what I feel like there needs to be, like that punch that grabs all the headlines that makes people say, wow. So that's a I'd like to see that. That's on my wish list. If not that, then if the price. If they could make it insanely low, I don't think they will. I don't think they can handle it. I don't think they can take a loss this quarter or this year for that matter. Sony is in bad shape right now, especially their games division. But if I would see it the very cheapest, if they were going for a holy shit factor, that I'd see it priced at like $300. And that, I think, would garner a holy shit. Anything cheaper than $300 is just, I would say, impossible based on the specs for this thing. After that, the other holy shit thing would be, what was my third thing that I thought that they could do? Oh, yes. And this is the last thing. This is what I want, I think, the most. I want them to come out and say, by the way, you can purchase it in 1 month. Next month. Or something like that. For them to have kept it under wraps that they were manufacturing them. And in fact, there were rumors last year that they were beginning manufacturing last year. Around, like, fall or something like that. It's possible. Who knows? If they could have... Apple can do it, why can't they? Nintendo kind of did it too. If they could keep it under wraps that they were manufacturing and had them ready to ship right away, it would be a very interesting prospect. Of course, there would only be a few early adopters, but as like momentum gained, towards the holidays, I'm not really good at business and whether that would be a great strategy for them or not, but I'm speaking from a consumer standpoint. That would be awesome to have it ready to buy like right away. That would be so cool. Not likely, but again, this is the dream scenarios. Let me see what else you guys sent me on Facebook just to see if I've covered everything. Paying for internet services, I guess Hannah means that that maybe they would make their not PS Plus, but you know how PlayStation is the best online that you can have, basically. If you don't want to pay, you don't have to pay for gold. You can play online with your buddies without paying, which is amazing. Another great reason why PlayStation, in my opinion, is the best of this generation to own. Let's see. I don't think they're going to do that, because that's one of their claims to fame, is that you don't have to pay for your PSN account. Let's see here. A touchscreen on the controller, I doubt it, unless they announce a completely different peripheral that will be like the Wii Pad. That would be... I hope they don't do that, because it would just steal the show, and it would be the headline, and it shouldn't be about that. Let me see here. Controllers with screens. Let's see. It's coming packaged with a Move camera. Sure, I don't think they're ever going to get away from the Move camera. I think they always want that involved. Just like I think from now on, Xbox will always have the Kinect involved with their system. Built-in Blu-ray player. It'll still do physical media. I'm very sure of that. Rumor that it'll be lockout used games. Okay, that's another. Not be back. There's a lot of doubles in here. Sorry, I'm just siphoning through. You'll be able to shop for games on your phone and have them automatically download to your machine, says Chris. Yeah, sure. Why not? Oh, that's another thing I've heard, is that it's going to be sort of a nerve center, people have said, to your home entertainment, and that you'll be able to play on any screen in your house using, like, I don't know, some sort of a little module or something from the same system. You'll be able to play on your PS Vita from not only in your house, but also on the road. It'll stream, if you have an internet connection somewhere else, it'll be able to stream any PS3, PS4, any game that's running on your system, stream it to your device. That would be very cool, like to your Vita, and that would really encourage people to buy more Vitas, which that would help Sony. So I'd say that's a very likely possibility that that's going to happen. And it would also speak to their Gakkai, owning Gakkai, right? Maybe it wouldn't even need to be running on your PS3. Maybe you'd just hook up to Gakkai wherever you go. We'll have to see about that. A large majority of PS3 catalog available to be streamed for download, but other rumors not going to be cheap. I'd like to see it cheap. I'd like to see it like a Netflix type thing. Some people say they hope it won't be so bloody expensive. Apparently there's a rumor for the price. According to Kotaku, anonymous sources say the PlayStation will be planned 2 SKUs, one at $429 and one at $529. So that's around, what did I predict? Between 4 and 5? That's what I predicted, right? I hope that's what I predicted. I'd like to sound smart. 8 gigabytes of RAM, I still feel like that's so low. Like, they obviously know what's needed, but RAM is so cheap in the relative like scheme of things as far as components go. I don't know why they just don't pack it full of RAM. Let's see. You'll be able to control your PS with your PlayStation with your phone. That'd be neat. The PSI will be able to stream games over the touchpad, blah, blah, blah. These are coming in as I speak because I just made the Facebook post, so I just want to make sure I've addressed it all. Release date reportedly outed, says IGN. What did they say? This November? Okay. If it's this fall, that's fine. I'd really love to see it before. I'd love to see it this spring. Again, I'm just pipe dreaming here. An RFID type of device that make it so that used games cannot be played. Okay, again, the whole used game thing. I should have told people to look for doubles before they posted. Small LCD screen on the center of your controller. If that thing is an LCD screen that I've been showing on the prototypes, I could see that. Okay, like not like a Wii Pad thing, but like it just has a small readout of things that you might want to know on there, like maybe ammo count or like health, or will you look down to see that? I don't know, but I could see maybe something like that. Your connection status to like chat or like other people, or I've also heard about that share button. What that's going to be, who knows? Like, I know that what they want to do with this system is make it more, kind of like what Nintendo just did, was make it more about sharing and community and the interaction with your friends list and Facebook and Twitter. Why not? Sure, let's do that. And they might build in some sort of a YouTube functionality so you can post replays to YouTube right from your system. I could see that too. The system will obviously have the power to encode video like quickly, so why not? Let's see here. DRM rumor. Yeah, we all know that. So it's basically everything I already kind of covered. Most of the online features will require premium, like a PlayStation Plus. PlayStation World will replace PlayStation Plus. That's interesting. I hope not. I really hope they don't cripple their existing PlayStation Plus, because to me, it's one of their best features. I think that we've pretty much seen everything we need. I think the 4K fucking resolution. Let me just rant about 4K. 4K is unnecessary for the next generation of console or almost any generation of any device going forward. I've covered this many times. You know Apple's marketing term Retina? That's not a technology they invented. It's just a term they use to describe the indecipherability of an individual pixel by the eye from a viewing distance that is considered to be the user's normal distance from the device. That depends on the device. So a TV would be different from a phone, which you hold like this. If you cannot, like, when standing in front of your TV, your 1080p TV, it becomes Retina at 7 feet. If it depends on the size of the TV. I'm talking about like a 48 inch, like that's like the average size, right? Like, on a 48 inch TV, it's supposed to be 6 feet away. You can't see pixels. You won't be able to tell the difference between 4K and 1080p. So, going to 4K won't fucking matter unless you're standing 6 feet from your goddamn screen. 4K is a stupid, redundant technology until LCD screens the size of about, like your wall, like, 8 feet, 9 feet diagonal, and the home theater experience, and I do think this will happen one day, the home theater experience becomes like a theater experience where the cost of one of those screens becomes way more affordable. Someday, sure, I think it'll happen. Then 4K will be probably needed because you'll be like in front of this gigantic theater type screen in your own home, and then you'll need that extra resolution. But even then, I don't even feel like you're going to need it that much, because if you've been to a theater lately, even some of these nice ones that they call the digital theaters, they're low resolution. I went and saw fucking Hobbit at like a good theater that is supposed to have some of the latest tech, and I thought it looked blurry and shitty. Maybe they fucked up, but every time I go to see a new movie, like these things, don't get think too highly of yourself, because as the average consumer, if you aren't a huge pixel snob like me, you probably can't tell the difference between 1080p and 720p from a normal viewing distance. I'm not trying to insult you guys, but the average consumer doesn't fucking need 4K. End rant. So if this thing can run 4K, it won't, because the 1080p on PlayStation 3 is seen in like, what, 10% of the games? They still run them all in 720p so that they can get as much juice out of it as they can, so they can give it better lighting and all those other things. So even if it could run in 4K, they won't run it in 4K. End rant. That's my roundup for what's going to happen tomorrow. You can join me. That's not my predictions, really. It was mainly just my wish list. Join me tomorrow. I'm going to be watching it live on the show, on the couch at, when the press conference is, 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. And then we'll be doing another show later on that night where I actually do a full-fledged edited show and trailer with all this hype and presenting it to the crew, who will not know what's coming, and so you'll see their reactions for the first time to all the news. See you there, guys, and stay tuned. Tomorrow morning I'll probably record a video for my Revengeance first reactions. I loved it, by the way. Spoilers. It's exciting times. See you tomorrow, guys. I love you.